There is a saying on Wall Street, money talks, but wealth whispers. Most people spend their entire lives listening for the noise, chasing the flash of a Rolex or the roar of a Ferrari engine. They forget that true power often wears work boots. Today, I'm going to tell you a story about Elias Thorne, a man who had billions in the bank but 0 cents in common sense, and Marcus, a man who served hot dogs but owned the block. It's a story about the moment the noise stopped, and the whisper brought the house down. The rain in Manhattan doesn't wash the city clean, it just makes the grime slicker. Elias Thorne stepped out of the revolving doors of the Thorne Capital building, his $5,000 loafers hovering an inch above the wet pavement. He checked his watch. His driver was 30 seconds late. For Elias, 30 seconds was $1 million in lost trading time. He huffed, adjusting his silk tie, and looked to his left. There, under a red and yellow umbrella that had seen better days, stood the vendor. Elias had seen him every day for 5 years. A black man, perhaps in his early 60s, with a graying beard and eyes that seemed to photograph everything they saw. He moved with a rhythmic efficiency: bun, sausage, mustard, kraut, foil. Snap, snap, slide. Elias was hungry. He usually ate salmon sashimi delivered to his desk, but the smell of the grilled onions was cutting through the diesel fumes. He walked over, checking his pockets for loose cash. "One with everything," Elias said, looking at his phone. "Coming right up, Mr. Thorne," the vendor said. His voice was deep, gravelly, but warm. Elias paused. "You know my name?" "I know everyone's name who walks out of that building, sir. You're the CEO. You shorted the copper futures last week. Risky move, given the strikes in Chile." Elias froze. He slowly lowered his phone. The rain tapped against the umbrella. "Excuse me?" The vendor handed him the foil-wrapped dog. $2, sir. "And the strike in Chile is resolving tomorrow. The union leaders just agreed to the new pension terms. I'd cover that short if I were you." Elias stared at the man. "Who told you that?" "That's not on the news wires yet." The vendor smiled, eyes crinkling. "Drivers talk. Delivery guys talk. The people who clean the trash cans in the negotiation rooms talk. I just listen. I'm Marcus." Elias handed him a $20 bill. "Keep the change, Marcus." "Thank you, Mr. Thorne. But check the copper." Elias went back upstairs. He checked his terminal. There was no news. But something about Marcus's absolute certainty gnawed at him. Against the advice of his CFO, Elias closed his short position. 3 hours later, the news broke: the strike in Chile was over. Copper prices skyrocketed. If Elias had held the position, Thorne Capital would have lost $40 million. Marcus had saved him a fortune with a hot dog and a sentence. This gave Elias an idea. The Global Titan Summit was happening that weekend at the Plaza Hotel. It was the most exclusive event of the year: CEOs, oil barons, tech moguls. A room full of egos that could suffocate a normal person. Elias was tired of the pretension. He wanted to bring a wild card. He wanted to show his peers that wisdom didn't always wear a suit. It was arrogant, yes. Elias saw Marcus as a sort of noble savage, a magical poor person he could parade around to show how open-minded he was. The next day, Elias invited Marcus. A business summit? Marcus wiped his hands on his apron. "I don't have a tuxedo, Mr. Thorne." "I'll buy you one," Elias said magnanimously. "Come. Observe. Eat the lobster. You earned it with that copper tip." Marcus looked at the hot dog cart, then back at Elias. A strange glint appeared in his eye. "All right. I'll come. But I don't need you to buy me a suit. I have one." The grand ballroom of the plaza was dripping in gold and crystal. The air smelled of expensive perfume and desperation. Men with net worths higher than the GDP of small countries swirled brandy in snifters. Elias entered, expecting to see Marcus looking uncomfortable, perhaps wearing an ill-fitting polyester suit from a thrift store. He scanned the room. He didn't see the hot dog vendor. Then, the room went quiet. Walking down the main staircase was a man in a midnight blue bespoke Brioni suit. The cut was surgical. The fabric absorbed the light rather than reflecting it. He wore a Patek Philippe Grandmaster chime on his wrist, a watch worth $2.6 million. It was Marcus. Elias choked on his drink. He rushed over. "Marcus? Is that a rental?" Marcus looked at his cufflink. "No, Elias. Rentals chafe." Before Elias could ask more, a man named Sterling Vance walked up. Vance was a real estate tycoon, known for being loud, racist, and aggressively new money. He had seen Elias talking to Marcus on the street days prior from his limo. Well, Vance sneered, loud enough for the circle of bankers to hear. Elias brought his pet. Tell me, boy, did you park the hot dog cart out front? Or did valet take it? A ripple of uncomfortable laughter went through the group. Elias stiffened. He had brought Marcus here, and now he felt the sudden urge to protect him. Back off, Vance. He's my guest. He's a servant, Vance laughed, taking a sip of champagne. Look at him. You can put a tuxedo on a goat, but it still smells like a barn. Hey, fetch me a napkin, would you? I spilled a drop. The room went silent. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Everyone looked at Marcus, expecting him to shrink, to apologize, or to lose his temper. Marcus didn't blink. He gently set his sparkling water on a passing tray. He turned his body fully toward Vance. Mr. Vance, Marcus said, his voice projecting to the back of the room without shouting. You just closed on the Hudson Yards development project, correct? Vance blinked, thrown off. Yes. What of it? You overpaid, Marcus said simply. You paid $400 per square foot on the commercial zoning, assuming you could get the zoning changed to residential. But you didn't check the soil samples on the north quadrant. The bedrock is unstable. The city is going to deny your permit next Tuesday. You're sitting on a sinkhole. Vance's face turned purple. How the hell would you know that? Because I own the engineering firm you hired to do the survey, Marcus said. The silence in the room was deafening. And, Marcus continued, stepping closer, you're leveraging your debt through First National Commercial Bank. You think you have a generic loan. You don't. You have a callable note. I know my bankers. Vance sputtered. Do you? Marcus tilted his head. Because I'm the majority shareholder of First National Commercial. And frankly, Mr. Vance, your liquidity ratio is looking dangerous. If you speak to me, or anyone else in this room, with that tone again, I will make a call, and I will have your note called in by morning. You will be bankrupt before breakfast. Vance looked like he was having a stroke. He opened his mouth, closed it, and then turned on his heel and fled the circle. Elias stood there, his jaw practically on the floor. Marcus, you own the bank? Marcus sighed, reaching into his tailored jacket and pulling out a business card. It didn't say, hot dog vendor. It read, Marcus Holloway. Chairman, Holloway Holdings. Elias, Marcus said, his tone kind but serious. I don't sell hot dogs because I have to. I sell hot dogs because it keeps me honest. Elias and Marcus moved to a quieter balcony. The city lights shimmered below them. I don't understand, Elias stammered. The apron. The cart. The standing in the rain. Why? Marcus leaned against the railing. 30 years ago, I was like Vance. I was arrogant. I was rich. I thought I was a god. I built a manufacturing empire. But I lost touch. I stopped listening to the customers. I stopped knowing the price of milk. I started making decisions based on spreadsheets, not people. Marcus looked at his hands. I almost lost everything. My wife left me. My kids hated me. I realized I had built a castle but forgot how to live in it. So, when I rebuilt, I made a promise. 3 days a week, I work the lowest level job in one of my companies. Sometimes I clean the floors at the bank. Sometimes I drive the delivery truck. Currently, I'm manning the hot dog cart for my food distribution subsidiary. You own the hot dog company too? Elias asked. I own the meat processing plant, the bakery, and the distribution fleet, Marcus grinned. Vertical integration, Elias. We control the supply chain from farm to foil wrapper. That cart does more revenue per square foot than your flagship retail store because I have zero overhead and I know my customer. Elias felt a wave of shame wash over him. He had looked at Marcus and seen a charity case. He had invited him to the party to feel good about himself. Meanwhile, Marcus was playing a game of chess so advanced that Elias didn't even know the board existed. I watched you, Elias, Marcus said. You're a good man, but you're drifting. You're starting to think the view from the penthouse is the only view that matters. That copper tip? I didn't get that from a janitor. I got that because I sit on the board of the mining consortium in Chile. I just wanted to see if you were smart enough to listen to a guy in an apron. I almost didn't, Elias admitted. But you did. That's why I'm talking to you now. Marcus turned to face him. Real wealth isn't the money, son. It's the freedom. The freedom to be who you are, anywhere you are. Vance? He's a prisoner of his image. He needs this party to feel important. I can stand on a street corner and sell sausages and feel just as dignified as I do in this tuxedo. That is power. The rest of the night was a blur for Elias. He watched as the most powerful men in New York slowly realized who Marcus was. The dynamic shifted. They didn't talk down to him anymore, they lined up to ask for his advice. They asked about interest rates, about emerging markets, about logistics. Marcus answered them all with the same patience he used when explaining which mustard was spicy. At the end of the night, as the valets were bringing around the Rolls-Royces and Maybachs, Elias found Marcus one last time. "So," Elias said. "Will I see you on the corner Monday?" Marcus smiled. "Monday is board meeting day. But Tuesday? Tuesday is Taco Tuesday. I'll be running the truck on 42nd Street. Come by. The salsa is excellent." Elias laughed. A real, genuine laugh. "I'll be there. Can I work the register?" Marcus patted him on the shoulder. "We'll see, Elias. You need to learn how to fold a burrito first. It's harder than a merger." Elias Thorne changed the way he did business after that. He started walking the floors of his companies. He started asking the janitors about the building morale. He realized that the best data wasn't on the Bloomberg terminal, it was in the eyes of the people doing the work. And as for Sterling Vance? Well, Marcus didn't bankrupt him. He was a man of mercy. But he did buy the building Vance lived in, and he raised the rent just enough to be annoying. Never judge a person by their station in life. The person serving your coffee might own the building you're standing in. Respect is not a tax you pay to the rich, it's an investment you make in humanity. And as Marcus taught Elias, the smartest person in the room is usually the one doing more listening than talking. If you enjoyed this story of hidden empires and humble lessons, please hit that like button, it really supports the channel. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss our next true story. What would you do if you found out your local vendor was a billionaire? Let us know in the comments below.